All right, Miles Harris is here right now, and Miles, you've been following sports betting North Carolina since day one, right?
I feel like it's like literally yesterday. I remember being in the NASCAR Hall of Fame and watching Greg Olson hit that first bet when 12 o'clock struck.
Like he was there.
I literally remember
right.
it like it was yesterday. And so I think it was DraftKings and a couple other sports books were actually in the house launching sports betting when it became legal online sports betting. So obviously it's been a fun, exciting element that's been introduced to the Tar Heel State. Still a couple of things that need to be kinked out as far as ironing out the details with sports betting, making sure that it's fun. Obviously, responsible betting when it comes to that, though, too.
Right.
But we got a chance to really see the numbers and the impact from this.
Yeah,
right?
and let's talk about the impact here because how many we were talking about how much money, some of the numbers generated by the billions of dollars wagered.
I was going to say, a lot of numbers, a lot of big numbers.
Yeah,
right?
Talk to me about that. Break it down.
A lot of big numbers. And so I remember looking at our producer, Spencer, and I'm like, am I reading this right? These numbers are all the way accurate. But like, yeah, hearing that, wagerers, bettors, they put in over $6 billion into any of these 8 books. Obviously a very, very big number. Not as green as we would have thought when you would have seen the amounts that they would have won, just under $6 billion. So the amount of money it was like, I think we put in the package is 6.1, but actually like closer to 6.7 billion dollars was wagered for anybody that put any of those legal bets in. Winners ended up getting back close to 5.8 billion. So still a lot of money coming back, not in the green necessarily, but what is in the green is the amount of money that the state is bringing in, because one of the things we got to keep an eye out for is, number one, when it comes to these 8 sports books, whether it's FanDuel, whether it's DraftKings, whether it's BetMGM, they have to pay taxes to be in the state, right? So all in all, over 127, almost 128 million dollars they're paying in taxes to go back to the state. And then we also looked at to the total tax revenue number. February was a little down, just over $10 million, but overall, I mean, they're almost doubling what state legislators thought would have come in with that first year. They anticipated seeing close to $65 million in tax revenue benefits. They're doubling that. They're doubling that. So it's doing a little bit better, obviously more in the green than they anticipated. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it comes to March Madness. I mean,
exactly.
Some of the experts we talked to, Steve there specifically, he mentioned that, we looked at the numbers. They're going to be a little down in February because once the Super Bowl ends, that football season ends, there's not a whole lot of things to really bet on that really grab a whole lot of people's
I closed
attention.
my apps.
We talk about that so much, right? Like,
I deleted my apps.
Yeah. But after the Super Bowl, not seeing a whole lot of wagers being placed, but there's still a big climb that's expected to happen here with March Madness, which makes things even more exciting. We're talking about basketball. The ACC tournament here starts today as well. So a lot of people are placing those wagers and obviously looking to see their winnings go in a good direction. But definitely an exciting time when it comes to sports betting.
So we're talking about how many millions of dollars as far as revenue goes to the state, and where does that money go?
So a piece of those money. So for February example, they earned in over $10 million in those tax revenue. So that money goes to the state. That money can be dispersed in a couple of ways, but one thing that I like that they do with it is that a percentage of that money goes into helping schools and universities in North Carolina. So obviously that goes into the funding in that case, whether it's JCSU, whether it's any of those HBCUs or any of those universities, they get a piece of that money and kind of spend it in their own direction. So again, it's obviously good to see that the state is bringing in money in a big way. We need that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they signed up for, right? This was the deal. The state gets so much money, and all these sports books get to bring on some players, a lot of new players, and a lot of folks have been wanting sports betting to be able to wager legally and not have to go across state lines.
Exactly. And so I think it's also really, really interesting to kind of look into these numbers, though, too. Obviously, we see how much money it's bringing in, but also we got to look at how can we make some adjustments? How can we make things change? When we look at the amount of money that people are betting, one of the things that's being talked about a lot is when you're filing taxes, because we are in tax season, you have to file those losses as well. And so that can take a hit and a pinch depending on how much money you obviously bet when you're filing your taxes. And so there is a bill that's in the House right now that is being looked at to kind of remove that part of it, because if you place
if
a wager.
You lose money.
Yeah, you lose money. You still have to.
You still have to
file that.
Oh,
yeah. So even if, let's say that I wagered and I ended up winning $100, but then I also like lost $50, I have to put both of those in. I have to file all of that as one. And so you're still kind of deducting those You're not able to really deduct everything away from it. So
right. Okay.
It's a little tricky in that aspect too.
So that's one bill.
That's one bill. And so another one that's actually interesting though too, when we're talking about college basketball, there's also a bill that would remove placing player props on college sports. So for example, let's say that we want to bet on the North Carolina Tar Heels in a game. We want to put RJ Davis to score 20, 25 points. You're allowed to do that, but there's a bill that would actually ban or prohibit that in North Carolina. They're trying to kind of protect players in a sense, just beyond obviously the bets and the reaction and things like that. It's an interesting conversation because we talked about that when it comes to professional sports, whether it's fantasy football, whether it's placing bets. We're looking to kind of
right. You can play player props on professional sports.
Right. And you can in college, like if you wanted a certain amount of, like a player to score 15, 20 points, you can.
Okay.
But there is a bill that they're looking at trying to prohibit that.
Okay.
And so, and the reason that is that we did this story back in the summertime, but there are some legislators, there are some state lawmakers that are kind of concerned when we look at the backlash and the reaction from fans in a perspective of getting some backlash from let's say they didn't hit that player prop, right? We've seen that story before where like, players don't score 20 points, they don't lose it, they don't hit the bet, and the next thing you know, somebody's in their DMs and reacting in a certain way, and they don't like that from the collegiate standpoint.
Right. Throwing the game, that temptation, it's always there anyway, even with the pros, but just to...
Before we're talking about 18 and 19-year-old kids,
exactly.
I mean, it's a little different.
A little too impressionable, still young adults. And what other changes, then, are we looking at?
I mean, that's really the big one, I would say, though, too, is obviously the deduction when you're talking about your taxes, and the player props are the two big ones that are looking at kind of being maybe possibly adjusted when we're looking at year two. But that's really it. Those are the two big ones, though, too. And I mean, I think, again, as we kind of get more familiar when it comes to player props, are we going to see a lot of those advertisements? That could be an adjustment as well, because when we talked about seeing and who's seeing these ads, are they fitting the right age and the right criteria, right? I mean, whether we're seeing it on TV or whether we're seeing it on social media, there could be some things that are being adjusted when we're talking about bringing in people to place those bets as well and how we're advertising that. So that's another conversation that we know that lawmakers have had. But for the most part, North Carolina's been in the green when it comes to these bets. I was going to
say, I mean, lawmakers for the most part are satisfied with the revenue, the trade-off.
I would say so. I mean, based on what we're hearing and based on what we're seeing right now from the numbers, things are definitely going in the right direction. Another aspect that we do need to take another look at, though, too, is as we're wrapping up that first year, because today is technically that first day when we saw that launch. How many calls are going into the hotline when we're talking about gambling addiction, right? Every time we talk to experts, whether it is lawmakers, whether it is experts, gambling responsibly when we're talking about online sports betting has to be a very, very big, important thing, though, too. Making sure that, because I'm sure you've heard it too, Jane, making sure that people aren't chasing those losses, right? So let's say that I place a $50 bet, I lost it, as opposed to trying to put another bet in to try to hit it. Just take the loss and move forward, right? Trying to make those bets in pieces and places definitely can help us when we're talking about dealing with gambling addiction.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, or Steve Bittenbender there from Carolina Bets, talked to him a number of times over the last year as well. He talks about the entertainment value. Place $1, it's $1 bet.
In pieces.
It's meant for that.
Yeah. Literally, he was like, don't do anything more than a $5 bet. If you're new to this or you're not too familiar with it, smaller parlays and bounce around the other apps, right? We have 8 different apps to choose from here.
8, wow.
Yeah. 8 different apps to choose from. Like I said, whether it's BetMGM, whether it's FanDuel, whether it's DraftKings, Fanatics is another one, though, too. Placing those bets in pieces. And just kind of literally just playing around with it, making sure that it's fun, not dependable. I know I mentioned that in the package, but again, that goes with the not trying to chase your losses when you're making those sports bets.
I'm glad I'm not a betting woman. I do the $1.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, for just during some football, college football. I do even 50 cents. My husband makes fun of me. It's only to just give it a little extra fun there watching a game. But Well, good stuff there, Miles.
Thank you.
What are you working on today?
Yeah, actually, we're following up with ACC today, so we're looking at the economic impact the tournament brings. We haven't had the tournament here since 2019, and so we got a chance to see how many people came out to the Queen City for that and the amount of money that it came into, whether it's going and hitting hotels, restaurants.
Gotta be
A big boomer, and so big numbers from 2019. I think they're actually expecting to see those numbers go even bigger, obviously, given our climate and time. And there's obviously some exciting teams to see out there too. Obviously,
absolutely.
Rooting for the Tar Heels, rooting for anybody else that's in that tournament.
You go to catch a game?
We'll see. We'll see. I'm a little busy today, so we'll see. If I get a chance to pop in and see a game or two, I'm looking forward to doing that. But it's an exciting time. I mean, it's March Madness, right? We're looking forward to seeing who's going to be able to dance here in about a week or so.
All right. Any favorites?
Any favorites that I have?
You
you gotta root for UNC. You gotta root for them.
Okay.
I mean, there's a little bit of
Carr. She's giving you a face.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's a gamecock.
I like them too. Yeah, I mean,
So I have no horse in the ACC race.
Yeah.
But anybody but Clemson.
I'm not rooting for Clemson. Virginia's probably a second one, so I would say that.
My little niece loves Clemson.
Yeah, I don't hate Clemson. It's just like, I mean, actually, I'm from Ohio. They kind of beat it down on us a couple times. So I've watched my Ohio State Buckeyes take too many close L's to Clemson. So nothing against them, but yeah, no, I think you always got to root from the hometown team. I mean,
that's
I like
right.
SC though too. There's no dog in that fight, but it's just exciting time to see basketball. I honestly, and just to be personal, I love the underdog story. I like seeing the upsets.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part about
Cinderella.
Seeing this time of year.
Yeah, Cinderella's always the best fairy tale. So.
Exactly. So hopefully we see a couple of them dancing today too, or moving around.
Very good. Miles Harris in the Live Impact studio for us this morning. Nice having you.